Hi guys, welcome back to Hoverton Central. It's been a while since my last video, which went down really well. Got some good feedback on using 3D printers to make models to go onto the layout. I used it for the 2 plate girder walls that you can see down the end there, either side of the footbridge. They're now painted and weathered up, and I think they look quite fitting, and that was a success. But no, we got some really good feedback and some really good questions. I did say I would do a tutorial on how to use the software to design things like that. It's not that hard, and I really mean to do that. I need to get around to doing that. But like I say, I've not had a video out for a while, so I just thought I'd do a quick update just to show you where I'm at with everything. The next thing I'm going to do, really, which I've been struggling to find a solution with, is the platform canopies. Now, there don't seem to be that many options for different kits to buy, and I think a lot of people scratch build them, which is why I'd like to use a 3D printer once again, just to try and, because it's a repeated process, because I'll be making 5 or 6 sections. Once I've designed one, I can just print out as many as I need. I bought one of the kits from Metcalf, which is superb. I think it's really good. It's not really fitting for my layout and the area my layout's based on, but in terms of a kit, the Metcalf platform canopy, I think is superb. But then apart from that, there's not many options. I think Hornby do one, which I've seen one, like a pre-made kind of thing, which I wasn't too keen on. And then there's this kit from Dapple, which it's not finished, as you can see. I've got this far with it, and I'll be honest with you, I've kind of given up. It's pretty poor, and it's quite tricky to put together, you know. And the thought of making 5 or 6 of those does not get me excited. So I might take some of the ideas from it, some of the dimensions and sizes, not copy it completely, obviously, but yeah, that was not so successful. So since then, I've made a prototype, which is not a finished product, and it's a bit, you know, agricultural, really, I suppose. Use some thick card on top. I won't use that. I'll get some sheets of like corrugated iron or whatever. But it was just for sizing, really. So I printed out the struts you can see underneath. They've come off a 3D printer. The 2 girders running lengthways, and then just these stands. And it's just to give a rough idea of size. So I mean, that's something that definitely could work. And like I say, once I've designed one, I don't know how many I'll need. 6, 7 maybe on this layout. Fairly long platform, so that's kind of what I'm thinking, and I do intend to use the 3D printer to try and make a solution. But if anyone's got any ideas of a kit already out there, then I'd be interested to hear about them. So I'm looking for like a modern day looking platform canopy, but like I say, I don't think there's a lot out there, which surprises me really, because you'd have thought most layouts would need some kind of canopy on the platforms, but hey ho. So that's the next job for winter, I suppose, is to get on the computer and get those designed and get those printed out. And in terms of an update for the layout, so I haven't done much over summer because it just gets so hot up here. But I've had a go at ballasting. I've done these 3 tracks here, and that's it so far. But I'm happy with how that's gone. Put some little drains in there. I think they're from Scale Model Scenery. Some little drains along the way, and it hasn't been weathered yet. I think it's Gauge Master Ballast. I forget which one it is. But it hasn't been weathered yet, and I've kind of taken from what Mr. New Junction did in terms of weathering, and made myself a little sample board so I could have a go, and I'm really glad I did, because the first one did not go so well. I think definitely with weathering, it's the first I've done, less is more. especially when you're starting off. And it is going to be based on, the layout's based on, 1980s, 90s, somewhere at north, so it is going to be pretty grotty and grimy. But I think initially you start with less is more, so I'll do these other tracks. I'll just give them a go before I actually go and do on the layout. But that was a good idea, and I mean, on YouTube at the moment there's so many tutorials and tips about how to do everything. It's really fantastic. The other thing I'm doing in terms of trackside detailing is I've got this kit here for the cable trunking, which is again from Scale Model Sceneries, and I think it's really good. I've only started it, I only did this week, where I've tried to put this trunking in down here. But yeah, highly recommend this kit. It's a bit fiddly at first, but once you get used to it, it's actually not bad, and it's fairly reasonable. And because it's a cardboard kit, you can customise it and put it wherever you want to put it, I suppose. So yeah, highly recommend that kit. Just trying to think of other little bits I've done on the layout. One of the big headaches that I've had on the layout is to do with my point motors. Now I use the Gauge Master PM1 point motors, which you'll all know, and they're really good and really simple, but I've managed to make them into a right old headache. And as far as I can tell, the reason why is because when I've been doing my soldering, all the soldering on the layout so far, I've been using this flux and this solder, and I don't think it's the solder that's the problem, I think it's the flux, and the flux is causing a corrosion to occur. So you can see on this point motor on the back there where it's kind of gone a little bit green, and it's meant that initially the point motor works fine, but then over time, as it starts to corrode, when you throw the point, the pickup for the frog gets corroded, and it just doesn't make a good connection, and the point motor stops to work, trains start to stall on the points, and it's a right old pain. So having gone into my local model shop, I just explained the problem, and for a couple of quid he gave me some good old, I think he said that it's got lead based solder, which is not so healthy, not recommended anymore, but does the job, and all the point motors have worked fine since then, no corrosion on them. A little bit of a game changer really, using that new solder, which doesn't require the flux. I've looked online and there's lots of different opinions of whether you should use flux or shouldn't use flux, but my personal opinion, that has made it a lot easier by not using it, and it created a lot of problems when I did use it, so I'll certainly not use it again. So that's taken a while. I've replaced nearly all of my point motors. When it comes to attaching the point motors to the baseboard, I've only used quite thin marine ply for my baseboards. I think it's 5 or 6mm. So as you can see, when I've screwed through, the screws come proud on the top side. And I'm in two minds about what to do about this. I might just get a Dremel and just buzz them off so that when I ballast around it you can't see them. Or I might through bolt them from the top, get some small bolts and little nuts to go on the bottom, because I want them to be removable. If I ever get a problem with the point motor, I want to be able to take it off and replace it. But if anyone's got any ideas about a good way of attaching point motors to the baseboard or the underside of the baseboard, then please just give me a shout, that'd be really handy. For Christmas I was lucky enough to get this lovely Class 47, which I'm really happy with. Apart from when I first got it, it took a while to run it in, and I ran it in on DC, but it sounded a bit like a coffee grinder. Now I'm unsure about what the sound quality is on this, like on this camera, but if I can just quickly run the train and just again get your opinion on what we think. So for me, it's kind of sounds a bit rattly. Now, I don't know whether I like just run it in this direction. Actually sounds much better in that direction, but if I just take it back again, now I'm unsure whether that is something I should be concerned about, so I might just nip it back to the model shop and see what they think. I mean, in comparison to my Class 40, which is just here, this is just, since I've had it, it's just been super smooth and super quiet. And this is more what I'd expect, I suppose, from a Bachmann model. Okay, so yeah, just let me know what you guys think and what you do in this situation. I think I'll just run it back to the model shop and just get their opinion, really. It might be that it just needs a minor service, you know. It might have just been sat on the shelf for a long time and a little bit of oil will sort it out. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at with Hoviston Central. Not so much progress has been made over